everyone, thanks so much for being here. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video lesson, we're going to be talking about how to bend the guitar strings. So if you're working on some solos, you're working on some songwriting, you're working on something that has to do with bending the strings of the guitar, this lesson's for you. Stick around and I'll give you some pointers how to do it better. One of the things that's really unique about the guitar, as far as the stringed instrument goes, is being able to bend the strings. Now, a lot of the instruments in the string family, they don't do that. Piano, mandolin, banjo, violin, you know, these are all stringed instruments in the string instrument family. They don't bend strings. The only one that really does it is the guitar. So it makes it a very unique thing and a good way for you to express your playing on the guitar, okay? Something to definitely have in your toolbox, string bends. So now I'm gonna give you some pointers, okay? So first thing you wanna do is, I would work on bending maybe this third string just to start with maybe your third finger like this. Now don't worry right off the bat how far, how high or anything like that. Just get used to the concept of bending the string, okay? That's the first thing you wanna do. Second of all, I would use two fingers if necessary. You could use your two middle fingers, okay, to push the string up, like that. See how it really expresses the note? You hit the note, and then bend it up. Now I've been doing this a while so I can really bend the string, but if you're just getting started, you might not be able to do that. Just bend it a little, bend it as much as you can. And it does take time. It takes time to build the strength in your fingers. And this is another great way to build strength in your fingers, is doing string bends. Okay? So if you need to, use both fingers. If you want to, you could, if you're bending this note here, let's say we're right here in at the 5th position, and you are bending the 6th fret on the 3rd string, you could use the first two fingers. Great way to express the note on the guitar through string bends. So when you're getting started, I would use two fingers. Work on utilizing your wrist, okay? So that way you're not putting a lot of stress on your fingers, because string bends in the very beginning when you're just starting out are not easy to do. You got to work at it. You have to get the muscles in your hands and your wrists and everything built up. It takes some time to really do it well. So what I would do is make sure you have good hand positioning. Sometimes when I'm doing my bends, I'll have my thumb over the top like this, and as you can see, my fingers are lined up right here depending on the string I'm bending. If I'm bending this note, I'll use these two fingers. If I'm bending this note here, I'll use these two fingers. I might just use this finger for this note here. And if you know the minor pentatonic scale, which you should, okay, which would be right here in A, 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. Any of those strings you can bend, and I would practice that. Practice bending each one of those notes. The 8, the 5, the 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, and when you get to these lower notes, bend them down. And that's going to really help build up strength in your hand. You just got to do it just a little bit at a time. It's going to take some time to get it, but if you work on it every day like you should with everything else that I've been teaching you, this is really going to help build up your strength in your fingers and give you a chance to really express the notes that you're playing, okay? Now once you get that kind of down, you take some time, you just get the concept of bending notes, okay? See how it just really expresses the note? I love that about bending guitar strings, is it just really expresses the note. You can bend down, you can bend up. You can bend up and then release. You can bend up and then pick the string and then bring it down. So there's different ways you can do bends. The main thing is just get the concept together with your fingers and get it together and work on that, developing that technique. It's very important, okay? These bottom strings, bend them down. These bigger strings, bend them down. Little vibrato in there. Okay. Remember when I was was younger, just practicing, that's what I would do, you know, for a while, is I would just do that. Just go like that, you know? Do stuff like that. Wasn't really playing in songs or anything, but then when I got to where I was playing songs and they required bends like in the solos, I could do it because I spent so much time on that fundamental principle of doing that. Now once you get that done, and you understand the concept of bending guitar string, then what you want to do is start focusing on what note you're bending it to. Like for instance, this really helps with ear training too. So if you have this note and you want to bend it up to this note, you want to listen for that note. See, you hear that? So that helps with real good ear training. If you want to bend, that's called a half step. So whenever you bend a note to the next fret, it's called a half step, or a semitone, whatever you want to call it. I call it a half step, but. So that's good for ear training. And if you're going to bend it 2 frets, that's considered a whole step. So then what you want to do is listen to the note that you're on, and then listen to the note you want to bend it to. See, that's kind of that's a long bend right there, bending a whole step. So if you can't do that right, don't worry about that. Just work on bending to the half step. And then eventually when you get better at bending guitar strings, then you can work on bending it a whole step. And if you need to, like I said, use 2 fingers to bend it. And that really helps with ear training as well. And work on it all over the fretboard. Up here at the 12th fret. See, there's all kinds of really cool stuff you can do with guitar string bends. Just a lot of really neat things. They're real popular in the blues. So if you're playing some kind of slow blues kind of thing, you know, if you're playing some kind of slow blues thing. Okay. Now the other thing you want to do as well is make sure that you focus on this and practice this every day. Practice it with all your other techniques that I've shown you, your hammer-ons, your pull-offs, your slides, your trills, things like that, your vibrato, and you add this to your toolbox. And think of yourself as like being a mechanic who has tools, has a toolbox full of tools, and your tools are things like, especially if you're a lead guitar player, things like hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, you know, trills, vibrato, things like that. The scale patterns, you know those scale patterns real well. And see how you can really express the note. Do stuff like that's fun. Anyway, don't want to get off track here, but just want to let you know these are the things you want to work on. Okay, so make sure that you you utilize your wrist and your fingers. Make sure you have good hand positioning. It's very, very important. If you look at a lot of blues players, they usually have their thumb over the top, and the reason why is so that you can grab the string and really pull it. Pull on the string, you just grab it and pull on it, okay? That's what you got to do, is just grab it and pull it. But then I've seen other players who play more like this, and they bend the string like this. So you just got to kind of figure out what's best for you. Everybody plays a little bit different, so just kind of figure out what's best for you and work on that. For me, if I'm doing a lot of like slow blues, I'll probably play more like this. With my thumb over the top like this, okay? So that's one position that's very important. Make sure you have good posture in your hands and your wrists, and it might take some time for you to just kind of figure out what works for you. Everybody's a little bit different, so take everything that we teach you on the internet with a grain of salt, we're teaching you some things that's going to help you out, and then it's kind of up to you to kind of work with it and develop your own style. That's what I love about playing the guitar, that's where the artisticness of it comes in, is the fact that you can kind of take all these things that you learn from different teachers and kind of craft out your own style, you know, your own style of playing, your own hand positioning and things like that. And that's where the artistic sense of it comes in, okay? And then the next thing you want to do is work on, you know, if you need 2 or more fingers to bend a string, you know, if you need to, you know, even all 3 fingers right here would be fine. If you're going to bend this note right here, 7th fret, 2nd string, you could use these 2 fingers behind it and really push that up, especially if you're trying to bend a whole step, because that's 2 frets, so that's a long bend. So you might need all 3 fingers to really push that string, okay? So don't be afraid to do that. Next thing you want to do is make sure that once you get the bends down, you get that technique down, work on how far you're going to bend it. This is really good for ear training, you know? Listen to your notes. If you're bending here and you want to bend to here, so you can tell that's going to be a long bend right there, so you might have to use 2 fingers to bend that string to that note. Okay. So I would highly recommend work on your half steps first, get those down, and then work on your full steps. And if you add this to your playing, I guarantee it's going to just make you come up with some really cool techniques, okay? So work on your bending. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have some things that work for you, let me know in the comments below. I'd like to hear from my subscribers and the people who are watching. I want to say thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. You guys are doing a great job. So if you have any comments or there's something you found that helps you out, be sure to leave it in the comments below, because somebody might read it and it might help them out as well. Okay? So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Take those tips. If you want to learn more about guitar solos, I recommend you check out my book. It's called How to Play Guitar Solos. And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book. It teaches you all kinds of stuff about how to play guitar solos. Okay, I show you the pentatonic scales, guitar scale, lead guitar, what the lead guitar specialty of lead guitar is as opposed to rhythm guitar, important scales to know, reading tabs, finger exercises, and then I show you like your major pentatonic, all your major pentatonic scales, your minor pentatonic scales, your hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends, slides, vibrato, trills, you know, when to play the solos, you know, like into a song or in the middle section, or maybe in the outro, play a cappella, harmonizing, where to play the scales, you know, learning from recordings, which is real important. If you want to be a good guitar player, lead guitar player, I highly recommend you learn from your favorite guitar players, because it's going to help you learn how to construct solos in your own songs that you decide to write. Improvising, that's a very important thing to learn, improvising, you know. Reading the written paper, I recommend you learn that, it's very important, but you also have to learn how to be able to improvise and make up your own stuff as well. And I've always seemed to find that students either can do one of the two, either they can improvise real good, but they're not good at studying other people's solos, or they're good at studying other people's solos, but they're not good at improvising. So you want to be able to do both. If you can do both, be a double threat. And this book right here will show you all kinds of great things about how to do that. Has it all written out in tabs, really easy to understand. Even if you've never read music before, this book can do it. I'll leave you a link below, you can find it on Amazon. Alright, so thank you so much for being here today. Be sure to work on those bends, bend those strings. If you need to, work with some blues backing tracks, or create a rhythm of your own and loop it, and then try to play some soloing over that, and work on your bends, and I guarantee you'll come up with some really cool licks. Alright, so until our next lesson, keep practicing, and I'll see you then.